All right, full disclaimer. I'm not here to give any groundbreaking advice. I'm just here to give good advice to people who haven't heard it yet. So if you've heard it before, that's cool, that's great, that's awesome. But if you haven't, I promise you this information is going to be useful for you. I really have no formula here. I never have a formula when I make videos. I just press record and then just kind of speak based off of a prompt or based off of an idea that I feel like I want to share for the day. And today I just wanted to talk about dopamine stacking, and I wanted to talk about, the constant rush that we're consistently getting from like everything, like social media and just all of that stuff. It can be addicting, and it can also be very limiting. When you're trying to get things done, when it's so easy for you to get this instant gratification from different things, it's easy to stay stuck. It's easy to become complacent, and it's easy to share these words and ideas and without any action behind them. And it's easy to chase success or not even chase success, desire success without actually chasing it. So I just wanted to talk about how to prevent that, you know what I'm saying? And simply put, one of the number one things that you got to do is just slow down on your social media consumption. If you're trying to improve your headspace and get to a more productive mindset, you've got to get away from social media. And I know, like I said, that's not groundbreaking advice, but I just kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit further, because I feel like people don't necessarily give a lot of detail as to why. But when you're trying to achieve something, you have to make sure that you're never in a state of complacency. If you're trying to achieve greatness, or if you're trying to achieve excellence, you have to make sure you're not in a state of complacency. And the problem is, when we're on social media and we go to these channels and these pages of people posting their lives, their lavish lifestyles, their success, we almost start to not only get a sense of motivation, which can be good, but more often than not, instead of just motivation or instead of education, we get gratification from it. Seeing people go from nothing to something. We like to watch these things because in some situations, yes, it'll just motivate you. It'll just help you. It'll just push you to do better for yourself. But in a lot of situations, whether we know it or not, subconsciously, we enjoy watching these things so much because it's giving you that gratification that you don't have. It's giving you that feeling that you made it when you haven't made it at all. You're just sitting there watching somebody else do it. It's an issue that's plaguing us across all social media. And it's not just with lifestyle content necessarily, just talking about making more money and becoming successful and going from like nothing to rich or whatever. This is just applied to multiple things. If you go on TikTok, you see these videos of dudes wearing hidden cameras, on their glasses and stuff, the first person POV type of things. And they're going around and spitting game to women and stuff, getting their numbers and all this. They're doing it just for clicks, just for content. Most of the time they're not actually talking to these women, but they do it because it gets a lot of likes, showing them recording themselves, just going and talking to women, which is absurd when you think about it. Not even just because you could argue that it's kind of creepy or whatever because you're recording people and they have no idea. You could argue that it's kind of messed up because you're walking up to women and saying these nice things about them and getting their hopes up, when in reality you're just using them for content and for views and for money. But everybody kind of is aware of that. That's not what I want to talk about here. What I'm trying to talk about is the reason why these are so successful. And it's because people love to consume this content because they get that reaction in their brain. They get that response in their brain, that dopamine, that rush from the idea of talking to a woman or the idea of, for lack of a better word, being successful with a woman that you don't know. That's why these videos do so well, because they get that gratification that they don't deserve and the gratification that they didn't necessarily work for. And they just can't get enough of it. People can't get enough of this stuff. And I've fallen victim to some of these types of videos, not those specifically, but other types of videos. I've realized I've got to slow down on my consumption because I was getting so complacent, because I was watching other people achieve these great things that I want to achieve. And it was giving me almost the same feeling that they're getting, except the difference is they're actually doing it while I'm just watching it. So it's like I'm satisfying these urges, but only temporarily, only in very short bursts, and I feel like I need that motivation, when I feel like I'm down, when I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. The solution should not be to open YouTube or open TikTok and go watch somebody who did do it and who did made it. That shouldn't be the solution. So you have to stay off of social media and stop allowing yourself this sense of reward for something that you didn't work for. You have to stay away from consuming the fruits of somebody else's labor. And you're not even consuming the fruit. They're just telling you what it tastes like. And, to imagine the greatness of what that fruit is going to taste like it makes you feel good, Just imagining good things, it makes you feel good. But it's only for a short period of time. And then eventually you start to realize, in theory, this sounds nice. I know this fruit is going to taste good. I know the fruit tastes good because other people are saying it tastes good, but I've never gotten to try it for myself, because instead of going out and looking for it, I'm sitting here listening to other people tell stories about it, or I'm waiting for somebody else to just come along and hand it to me, knowing that's not going to happen. But in order to prevent that desire and that hunger, and in order to keep myself where I'm at, prevent myself from having to work too hard to scavenge for that fruit, I'm just going to satisfy my urges by listening to somebody else talk about it. And that's what you've got to prevent. You just can't be, complacent. And the problem is, complacency isn't necessarily something that we always choose. It can be things that are not necessarily forced onto us, but complacency can be something that you adopt unintentionally through the consumption of these types of media. So you have to make sure that you just slow down. Take a break. Stop watching these people who are successful just because they're successful. If they're giving you good advice that you're actually going to apply, then consume the content. If you feel like you're actually getting something out of this and you're learning something from it, then you should be watching it. But if you're just watching these things because it makes you feel good and you're not going to actually apply it, don't watch the content. Because what you're doing is you're just dopamine stacking, like I said before. You're just giving yourself this instant gratification that you didn't work for and that you didn't deserve, and it's keeping you stuck. So take a break from YouTube, take a break from TikTok, all of that stuff. Just slow down. Really think about where you are in your life. Think about the things that you're doing to achieve your goals, and really ask yourself, am I doing everything that I need to? Am I working as hard as I need to? Or am I making myself feel like I am because I'm just telling myself that I'm going to work hard or that I want to work hard? A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want to achieve this. I want to own all these houses. I want to own all these cars. I want to be rich. I want to own all this property. Everybody just wants this and wants that and wants this and wants that, but nobody wants to work for it. That's the problem. We like to speak so much about our dreams instead of trying to work to make them a reality. I hear people do it all the time, and like, oh, they almost speak as if it's guaranteed to them just because they want it. And wishful thinking is the last thing that you need if you want to live in reality. You can't. I hear a lot of people that I talk to saying, oh yeah, give me about in 10 years when I'm rich, I'm going to have this, this, and this. Or yeah, in the future, I can't wait to have all these houses and all this money and go on all these vacations and all this stuff. And it's like, that's good that you're desiring those things. It's good that you're desiring something better for yourself. But you can't speak as if it's guaranteed to you, and you can't speak as if it's just going to fall in your lap, especially if you're in a position to where you're not doing anything. I've noticed the type of people who have that wishful thinking and that entitled mindset are the ones who work the least. They're so complacent and they really don't strive for more, yet they speak as if they're going to achieve something greater when they've never been working for it in the first place. So it's just important to make sure that you don't set these expectations without putting anything behind it, you know? Like, you can't just expect all these riches to come when you're not actually doing something. And that's, like I said, it goes back to what I was saying before with the problem of our consumption of social media and being able to watch other people make it. It really alters your brain, and it alters your reality, and it gives you this idea that you're doing something solely because you're sitting down and you're watching somebody else do it, and you're listening to them give you tips and tricks and all this advice, and you're learning things, which is good. But if you're not applying it, that knowledge doesn't mean anything. You know, you can have all the knowledge in the world about how to get bigger in the gym, on how to make more money, or how to talk to women, or just how to make friends, how to network, all of this stuff. You can have all this information that you want to try and share with other people, or you say that so then you really feel like you're doing something. And you're telling yourself, I'm working hard, but it's just not working out for me. But I know since I'm learning, I'm going to get somewhere. You're doing all of this stuff, consuming all of this knowledge, but you're not applying it. So in reality, it's completely useless. It doesn't matter if you're learning everything if you're not doing anything with the knowledge. And that's the problem. We get this idea that we're doing a lot more than we actually are, because we're not truly thinking about where we are in our lives, because we're trying to place ourselves in the shoes of other people that are walking where we want to be. So you have to get away from watching successful people sometimes. You just have to learn to pay attention to nobody else's life but yours, and document your own progress. Which I'm glad a lot of people seem to have been doing recently, just, getting on social media and sharing their journey and trying to make something for themselves, as opposed to watching somebody else's story. They're trying to write their own. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to get at here. It's important to make sure that you're writing your own story, and you're coming up with your own ideas, and you're really thinking about what it is that you're doing, and you're not trying to gauge your success or gauge your ability based off of somebody else's that you're simply just consuming.